All right, I want to welcome in Kevin Green, senior markets correspondent, to help set up some of the action today. KG, good to be with you this Monday morning as we kick off a new trading month. All right, let's start out with talking Tesla. We've been looking at the Mag 7, of course, as you know, we have been for the past couple years, but Tesla back on top in terms of Morgan Stanley's view. Take us through some of your takeaways from their latest, more constructive view on Tesla.
Yeah, we have seen the shares slide here after hitting those highs after the election enthusiasm. And Morgan Stanley is actually reiterating that Tesla is a top U.S. auto pick. And they also do have a price target of $430 that they have on the shares, applying around a 50% upside move from these current levels here. Now, they are continuing to be optimistic when it comes to the AI features from Tesla, as well as the robotics. And the humanoid robotics, the Tesla's Optimus Prime, is seen as a major growth driver. They do believe that every 1% of the U.S. labor force that's basically replaced by Optimus is estimated to add around $100 per share to Tesla's value. And they also call out the energy business, which is a very small segment of their overall portfolio, but it is actually the most profitable and the fastest growing. And they do believe that it's going to continue to gain traction as you see energy demand increase for not only artificial intelligence, but also just general power consumption in general here. So once again, they are a little bit optimistic. They do call out China. And China's sales, they do say that it's around 21% of total revenue in 2024 as of right now, but they do expect that to actually go down to around 10%. But once again, some of these growth drivers for their business is going to be able to offset that. So they are optimistic. They do believe that this is a decent entry point in getting into the shares here.
Okay, when you think about what their perspective is and the catalyst for this, it sounds like, even though this is, kind of the top pick of autos, it sounds like they are starting to move towards the camp that sees Tesla as more than an EV maker. When you think about the energy business and the growth there, is that what it seems like where they're really kind of focused on as the catalyst for growth, or is it all about the automation?
It's more about artificial intelligence and the humanoid robots rather than the energy business. If you're kind of looking at the energy business, there is a capacity problem that is there. Now, obviously, they do have some pricing power, but it's really hard to scale. It's going to take years for them to be able to expand their capacity as far as gigawatt hours that's going to be put into the market here. So once again, it's very profitable. It's a bright spot within their business, but is it going to receive a lot of the investment, whereas AI just in general and Optimus probably gets a little bit more enthusiasm and a little bit more demand when it comes to not only consumers but also enterprises. So once again, energy is a bright spot. It's starting to have a meaningful impact when it comes to revenue growth as well as adjusted earnings per share. But there is a capacity issue, and it's not Tesla's fault really. It's just how energy companies operate. There's a capacity issue where they're not going to be able to ramp up that business fairly quickly. It's going to be kind of a slow grind to the upside there, but they're continuing to take market share. And as they innovate, that could also be a business where they maybe in the future license out some of their proprietary technology to others that might be able to scale it a little bit better.
All right, let's talk a little bit about some of the moves that we've been paying attention to crypto. In crypto, we saw a big surge in Bitcoin, Ethereum over the weekend after President Trump talked about, kind of gave some more teeth to the crypto reserve and the working group that is in action around that. He wants the U.S. to be the crypto capital of the world. Tell us about some of your takeaways first before we get into some of the price action here.
Yeah, so he did make a post on Truth Social talking about having a strategic crypto reserve. Now, this is something that he's mentioned on the campaign, but we really haven't heard much from the White House since the inauguration around this topic. And so he did call out not only Ethereum and Bitcoin, but also called out XRP, Solana, as well as some other coins there. And so you did see a nice little bounce to the upside for all of these cryptocurrencies, really, because we have seen a significant pullback from the highs here. Now, changing the language from strategic reserve from stockpile also kind of signifies that there's going to be a proactive nature when it comes to actually buying these cryptocurrencies rather than keeping the ones that they actually have on in-house from repossessions and things of that nature here. So that would be a fundamental catalyst for cryptocurrencies and as a whole here. I think there's still a question. There's a couple of questions, but the main question is how is this going to be financed? Who's actually going to hold those reserves? And does it also need Congress approval in order for us to do so? And it seems like this is going to be more on the Treasury Department rather than something that the Fed actually implements here, just based on kind of the jurisdiction of both of those entities. And so we are seeing a nice little bounce here. Let's see if it's going to be able to hold, but kind of out of left field, something that definitely took the market by surprise, and that's why we're seeing a nice little pop to the upside for Bitcoin.
So do you think, given that there's still some uncertainty around this, that this may be kind of a short-term bounce that we're seeing, especially given the risk-off move that we'd seen in Bitcoin and other crypto recently?
It kind of depends. We are actually expecting an announcement, a major investment announcement coming from Donald Trump later on today, I believe at 1:30 Eastern time. So maybe he's going to be following up on this, or maybe it's going to be another announcement regarding data centers or what have you. But I think for now, if they continue to get this positive flow coming from the White House when it comes to actually spending money in the crypto currency market as a whole, it's probably going to provide a little bit of fundamental support. I think the big question, especially when you're looking at the Republican side, which obviously Donald Trump ran as a Republican. I think the big question there is, I think everybody's okay potentially with the Bitcoin side of the equation, but when you start bringing in some of these other coins like XRP and things of that nature, like why do we need that? I think that's the question that a lot of congressional members will be having and will be asking over the next couple of weeks. But once again, Donald Trump is going to command the media space here around this topic, and I think that's probably going to be a tailwind for crypto for right now.
Is there any other key details that investors should be looking out for to hear from this, crypto summit?
The whole thing, really, because this is kind of our uncharted territory. I mean, we have reserves for like actual physical commodities such as oil and natural gas, but we don't have anything that's a digital currency. And so what is going to be not only just the holdings, the purchasing power, how much are we going to put towards this? Is this going to be a fund that actually kind of actively trades it? So if we do need items for the budget, do we actually sell crypto or what have you, right? So there's a lot of open-ended questions here. Hopefully we do get some answers. And I think the positive answers as to the dynamics of the purchases, once again, it's probably going to be a tailwind for a lot of these cryptocurrencies. Especially the smaller ones, right? Bitcoin is something that institutional players are really kind of getting exposure to, maybe even Ethereum. But when you once again kind of go to XRP, I mean, that's a lot of volatility there. And so the question is going to be, do we want to have that volatility on the books, and how are we going to manage that risk if we do go down this path?
All right. Let's take a look at a single stock that you're paying attention to. Intel shares moving higher. This seems to have to do with some of the testing that is happening with NVIDIA and Broadcom. This is according to a Reuters report. Tell us some of the details on this report.
Yeah, so from this report, it appears that NVIDIA and Broadcom are actually testing Intel's 18A process, just the manufacturing process for these semiconductor chips. Now, this is something that Broadcom did actually test a couple of months ago, but they were not really happy with the results. So that actually moved Intel to the downside because their foundry business is just, it's been taking way too long, not only to get it up and running, but also to get these processes really dialed in order for them to be able to take some market share from Taiwan Semiconductor here. But you are seeing the shares up on the session. There's some optimism there. And they do believe that the 18A process really could actually be something that becomes a force within the semiconductor space, especially when you're looking at the fabs around middle of 2026. That's really the timeline that Intel has. Now, there's also a report that AMD is also potentially evaluating this process from Intel, but there hasn't been anything that's been confirmed that they actually sent chips in order to be tested out. But keep your eye out on AMD and any commentary from that company over the next couple of days as well.
Given that this didn't work so well before, what's different about this time? Is there anything that was signaled in this report or what we should be looking out for?
Yeah, I mean, anytime that you are testing a product and it doesn't really go well, you're going to find the areas of inefficiencies and then try to improve on that. So this seems like this is kind of a secondary test that's kind of taking place here. And if they're able to pass with flying colors, once again, this could be a diversifier for companies like an AMD or an NVIDIA or a Broadcom that can actually diversify away from Taiwan Semi, and then also kind of bring that onshoring type of aspect to their business a little bit more as the Arizona fabs kind of scale out.
especially given the direction that the Trump administration clearly wants to go. And then for Intel, I suppose, to take some market share from Taiwan Semi, as you were just talking about. All right, let's, KG, let's talk about, especially we're kicking off a new month, what levels you're looking at for the S&P 500, especially given that we finished Friday higher, although it was lower for the week. What are you looking for to the downside and to the upside?
Yeah, so for Friday, that ramp to the upside towards the close is kind of something that we actually do see on when we have month ends, as well as rebalancing when it comes to indexes and things of that nature. So you're looking for some follow through today to the upside, looking at trying to at least try to hit that 6,000 level. If we are able to exceed that, 60.30 is going to be on the radar here for me. And then to the downside, trying to hold 59.25. I would just kind of say we have a lot of economic data this week here, Diane. And today we do have the manufacturing PMI coming from ISM. That has actually been, for the most part, over the last couple of months, almost actually the last almost year or so, that has been a bearish report. So let's see how the market is able to kind of react to that if we do kind of still have this stagflationary fear in the market. But we get a lot more hard data towards the remainder of the week. It's jobs week. And so I would expect maybe some potential volatility in the market, and hopefully we're able to recapture some of the losses that we saw last week.
Well, that is certainly one of the themes that we've been following this year. Volatility, name of the game. Especially, we also have more news on tariffs potentially coming tomorrow. Kevin Green, senior markets correspondent here on Schwab Network. KG, thanks a ton for the setup and the levels to watch on the upside, downside on the S&P 500.